Coach Rogers here. I was actually sitting here doing some video editing for some other posts I was doing, setting up, loading up the automated posting queue so I could have content constantly being produced and sent out. But since I had the camera set up and the lights are up and everything, and I had this video going and put on my jacket, I said, I figure I might as well go unscripted and talk about something that's on my mind and near and dear to my heart. And that particular topic would be preparation for the journey. And what I mean by that is a lot of us, wanting success, whether it be success working a 9 to 5, being an entrepreneur route, whether you're in school, whatever, everybody wants success. Yeah, everybody wants to reach that pinnacle. We kind of all start out like that. But a lot of us are not prepared for what it really takes to get there. What it really takes to, what's between us and what that thing we really want. Because a lot of us want to think it's a progressive straight line, that kind of takes us piece by piece. You kind of go up it like a staircase. When it's more like a freaking roller coaster that you're not even riding on. Some of it you gotta walk, some of you gotta climb, some of you gotta ride, some that you gotta it is insane, this process that you go through to become who you need to become so you can handle what you're gonna be doing. And it's crazy. So and it's so customized because everyone's journey is different, but everyone has a journey. You can go biblical and use all kind of examples, but you can go with some well-known celebrities to talk about their examples. I'll give you a couple just so I can set the stage here for this conversation. We look at Moses, who's one of the oldest stories in the Bible. He went from being born, he was supposed to be born a slave, but he ends up growing up in the palace. Then he finds out that he's supposed to be a member of the other people, then commits crimes, goes off into obscurity for 40 years, if you read it directly from the word. And then after he goes through that, then he kind of creates a whole new life for himself, completely far and away from both lifestyles, both being a slave and living in the palace. He's living a whole nother lifestyle far and away, and then that whole process is what prepares him to get the call to go back and do what he needs to do and become. But he wouldn't be the man that he was when he came back if he had not went through all the stuff he went through, which is kind of insane. Another crazy example is, I say crazy example, but we want to talk about Joseph. It's another example. He got a vision, and a lot of us kind of can relate to his story a little bit. He had a vision that he was going to have his entire amazing family bowing to him, all the way down to up to the father, his own father. And it was an interesting vision to have. It shows that he had obviously done something to receive that level of honor, but he didn't know that in order for him to get that, it's gonna get him beat up. It was gonna get him thrown in the pit. It was gonna get him thrown into slavery, and it's gonna get him thrown in jail. And the trip part about it is that he literally did not do anything wrong to even warrant any of those quote-unquote punishments. And I think that a lot of us feel like we're doing what the things we're supposed to be doing, and when we find out who we're supposed to be, we try to operate in it, and a lot of times we're operating the wrong way, aka Moses, or we do what we're supposed to do and we get a negative result, aka Joseph, or you be like David, and you're out there doing what you're supposed to do. You get called in the house. Your father don't even recognize you at first as being somebody who could possibly be king, and they call you in the room, and you get the oil poured on you and wouldn't pour on nobody else in your family. The prophet shows up there saying the next king's in your house. Your father don't even present you at first because he don't even think you're worthy of being a possible king. But when you did get called in, because it didn't work for nobody else, everybody else got a chance before you. In David's story, everybody got a chance before him. It didn't work out for none of them. He gets called in there. The all pours on his head. Now, what happens right after that? You thinking, okay, all just put on my head. Let me go to the palace, get my crown, everything. You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. No, he had to go right back out and work. And there's nothing telling us how long he had to go back and be a shepherd after having all on his head. I thought I was supposed to be on my way. Meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm still doing this duty here, and there's no time section to tell you how long he was out there still doing that work at his father's house before of the whole scenario where he ends up meeting Goliath out there bringing his brother some sandwiches. He's out there bringing sandwiches and food, saying to his brothers who are soldiers, because he's not allowed to be a soldier. And that's when we have the whole Goliath situation. For those who know his story, that was the beginning of his story. I could go deeper, but I just want to show that, the journey, the vision, and the promise that you may have, and the vision and the passion and the thing that you want to create or to bring into the world or to become, has a journey attached to it that in a lot of cases doesn't look nothing like, the end result is going to be what it is that you wanted. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I want to win the Super Bowl, but now you got me playing little league baseball, or got me as a little league baseball coach or something like that. It's like, what the heck? Yeah, I'm working out like I'm trying to be in the NFL, but only job I can get is coaching these kids. But you know what I'm saying? You don't know what series of events is going to come from bringing you exactly where you want to be. There's so many people that, quit in that process, even though because their process doesn't look like, their journey doesn't look like it's going to bring them to where they say they want to be. And I think the only difference between those who make it and those who don't is that those who make it just don't quit. That's the consistent story that I've noticed, whether it be biblical or whether we talk about the story of Steve Harvey when he went his story, The Rock, his story, saying, I mean, you could just name off anybody that you look up to that has done some amazing stuff, whether it be in arts or entertainment or in politics or whatever, and they all have a I don't quit in them. I won't quit. I may pause for a little bit every now and then, short pause, but you just don't quit. You just keep trying. Perseverance, consistency. My story is still being written, because I have some things that I got up on my vision boards with an S, that hasn't come to fruition yet, but I'm still grinding, still working towards it. And sometimes I've been knocked down, all the way down, had to claw my way back up to get to where I started before I got knocked down, to continue trying to move forward. This is all part of the process. And I think that so many people are not being given an opportunity to understand what the journey might look like, or what to expect in the journey, that it's not always going to look like you're going to make it. It's just not going to look like you're going to make it. Sometimes you're the Patriots in the third quarter against the Atlanta Falcons. It looked like you got no business getting the ring. All you see is a vision of you holding up the trophy in the game, and it's third quarter, almost going to the fourth quarter, and you down by 4 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the way life seems like it is. But some kind of way, at the end of the day, you still get a championship. You can use that same team again. The team is on a 1 yard line. You have no business winning this game. There's less than a minute left in the game, and they throw an interception at the 1 yard line, and you still get a ring? That's 2 rings. That's 2 scenarios where this team had no business winning, and it just simply played every second as if I will not quit. I will try even when it looks like I have no business winning this game. And that's the difference between a multi-level consistent champion and people who are just existing and got stats. I'm not here to get stats. Stats is alright, it's cool, but I want championships. I want to achieve everything I have on those vision boards so I can have a reason to make some more. And it's just not going to be pretty sometimes. It's going to be stressful. Everybody's not going to always be on your corner. Sometimes, You have to walk the lonely path. Whether you Moses walking in the wilderness for 40 years, hopefully not 40 years, but people lived a lot longer back then, so time being relative. Or as Joseph, loneliness in that freaking pit, loneliness in that jail cell that he was in. Or you just loneliness the times that, like, for example, when people like Steve Harvey and people like I'm gonna keep bringing up Steve Harvey, but because that's just a person's story that was recently kind of been drawn around in my head. But the guy who used to be on the Late Show, I mean, there's so many people. I wish I could name off some more names for you right now off the top of my head, and I probably will in another video. But there's so many people, the people that you have seen do so many awesome, amazing things. If you go back and look at their stories and look at truly where they were and how close they were to actually even quitting themselves, where they just pushed just that little bit more, just try just that one more time. Tyler Perry, he was freaking broke, living in his car back home in New Orleans. I say back home because I'm from New Orleans, for those who don't know that. And it was his last ditch chance, the third chance of the same play, where it finally started to pick up, where he finally started to show a profit. I mean, before that, unfortunately, I know how it is to basically be living out of your doggone car. You know what I'm saying? At one point. It is part of the process. If you want greatness, if you want to be able, you see those people on Instagram posting themselves in front of all this stuff and this, that, and the other, say they living the life. You don't know what it took for them to get there. And you can have it too. There is not a scarcity of greatness in this world. There's a scarcity of people willing to do what it takes to get it. But there's not a scarcity of resources for more of us to be great, more of us to be multimillionaires, more of us to bring more value to the people around us in this world. There is room for it if you're willing to do the work, willing to do the work and go through the journey and understand that it's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be lonely. Sometimes you're going to have to do without. Sometimes you're going to live lower than what you feel like you are worth, and you know that you have the capability of living, but it's all a part of the process. And anyway, like I said, this is completely unscripted. It's just me just kind of getting some stuff out. Jay Leno, that's who it was. That's the talk show host I was thinking about a second ago. I mean, him and David Letterman and Alan, the brother who just bought the Weather Channel recently. All of them was broke together. At the same time, what I'm saying? They were all working the comedy circuits at the same time. All of them was broken. Now all of them are multi-millionaires today. But you got to start somewhere, and you just cannot quit. You just can't not quit at all. You can't have quitting. You're gonna feel like it, but you have to. More people need to understand what the journey's gonna take. What it's going to take for you what the journey is going to actually look like. Fortunately, the children of Israel, if they knew that they was going to have to deal with manna and deal with, walking all that distance and deal with a freaking huge sea in front of them that they had no idea was going to be able to split, I mean, they would have never left Egypt if you knew what the journey would look like. Because some of us who are already on this journey, just speaking to you guys right quick, if you knew what you would have had to go through for real, before the journey started, you probably would have never left. And I'm with you on that. I'd have never started this mess if I knew, what it was going to take, But that's not an option, because once you've been called and once you get called onto it to do this journey, you gotta go. You really don't have that much of a choice. There's only so much we have to control. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's why when it's time for baby bird to start flying, that mother will make that nest around them so doggone uncomfortable, to where the bird gonna have two choices. She gonna make the sticks come up and make it hurt him and stick him, and he's gonna have to jump up and start learning how to fly if he wants to get to some sense of comfortability again. And that's how a lot of us feel, who some of us are still working in corporate America or still working at a lower level within our respective careers and industries, that it's not comfortable. We're irritated and we're taking it out on all these other areas of our life. And really, it's time for you to get up out the nest, spread your wings, and you understand the first time you go out there and start trying to fly, you might fall. You're almost guaranteed to fall. But it's a part of the process. One of those times you try, those wings will get stronger and stronger and stronger, and then they're going to be able to lift you up. And when you start flying, you will never... That's the ultimate thing about the journey that I really want everybody to understand and see. Once you start flying, once you start getting there, once David got into the palace, the Bible said that he never went back to his father's house again. Once Joseph got to the palace, till he became prime minister of Egypt, he never saw jail or slavery or lack again. Once you get to that pinnacle, you know what I'm saying? Once Moses got to the end of his journey, he was talking face to face with God and wrote the first couple books of the Bible. He got to a point where he was in obscurity, to a point where he will never be forgotten. Never. And that's where the journey is ultimately going to take you. So like Michael Jordan just said on the interview recently, sometimes the hard times and the failure times makes you appreciate so much more the success that comes after it. That's another doggone story. People think that Michael Jordan came out the gate winning back-to-back three-peats, but he got his behind whooped by the Pistons, and the Celtics for a minute. Before he was able to get what he worked for, as you saw in The Last Dance, and as you hear him talk about things recently. LeBron James is another one. Yeah, he didn't get his level of success until he went through a lot of stuff. Everybody goes through it, whether it be in sports, or whether you work in technology, or whether you're an accountant, or whether you're trying to be a coach, or whether you're working in a hospital, whether you're doing any of these things, law enforcement, public safety, whatever you are doing, there's a process and a journey for you to go through in order to get to where you're going. Just don't quit. Don't settle. Because that nest sticking is eventually going to bleed out. And then you'll die never knowing what you could have accomplished, and nobody around you will ever know the value you could have brought to the people around you, up to and including your family and yourself. Again, this is completely unscripted. I'm probably going all along. I don't know how long you people are going to actually watch this video. I'm going to just go ahead and post it raw. It's going to be whatever. But I just feel like I needed to kind of get this, out of me, as I'm going through my journey. I don't know what I'm going to become ultimately yet. All I know is that I have a couple things that I have prayed for and I'm working towards, and I'm just not going to quit until I get there. And the journey may be rough and ragged or whatever, and look backwards or whatever, but I'm just saying, for you, God, and everybody else, that I'm all in. And I just want to let you guys know that you should be all in on your journeys as well. And understand that it's not always going to be easy. It doesn't depend on what people think. It doesn't depend on what people say. It really don't depend on it. Ultimately, it's between you and the version before you, of you before. Every day, you're just trying to become a better version to beat you of yesterday. To beat the you of yesterday. That's the only person you're really competing with. And for my fellow believers, with God on our sides, victory is already promised. It's already promised. I don't care what it looks like right now. It's already promised. So, not a COVID, not a joblessness, not a denial of customers, not a denial for jobs, not the government, not nothing can get in the way of the purpose and the promise you have before you that's already been promised to you. Just keep working forward and do like Jacob, wrestle until you get what it is that you want, and you'll have it. All right, I'm done. I just wanted to kind of get it off my chest and It's Coach Rogers. Come check out the podcast. I got a couple of awesome recent interviews I did with a couple of wonderful young ladies, and I have a guy from Italy who's in Italy who's an amazing coach, and he is going to be coming up here soon as well. So anyway, check those out. Thank you guys for watching, and you guys have an absolutely blessed day.